Welcome back to 11 Alive Midday, where we continue our coverage of the passing of 39th President Jimmy Carter. He died Sunday at 100 years old, the longest living U.S. president. He was surrounded by his family in his hometown of Plains, Georgia, the town where he was born on October 1st, 1924. 11 Alive's Zach Merchant is there in President Carter's hometown. Zach, you've been there for at least overnight. You really talked about the difference now that people are up and moving about the town, just sort of the mood there.
We should start with this. We spent almost the entire year covering what was candidly a really contentious presidential election, and that campaign ran right through our home state. But today, as the sun comes up, we start to talk with people. Part of the things we're talking about is politics. And what we're seeing is something we have not seen much of in the last year. We're seeing people smile as they talk about politics, or at least when they talk about Plains' favorite hometown politician, President Jimmy Carter. And it's something we saw a little bit of on the campaign trail this year and in recent years as well. It wasn't by any means universal, but as President Carter got older in particular, we saw a lot of people with a lot of different political backgrounds come to a sort of general understanding, a consensus of respect for the work that he did, particularly after he left the Oval Office, his relentless dedication to his humanitarian work around the world. And it is that sense of dedication that's drawn a lot of people to Plains this morning. We talked to three people who told us they had no plans to be here today, but after hearing the news of President Carter's death, they rerouted their cross-country road trips to pay their respects to the 39th president, to walk the streets of this small town he called home for a century, and to share their own messages to the family he and his wife Rosalind raised here.
Continue the legacy if possible. Continue that the Carter Foundation was formed in both of their names, and they put that together, and hopefully that will continue on for many decades to come.
And continue the love.
And so, Zach, you've been in Plains again since last night. This town really just has such a beautiful story outside of Mr. Carter. It really speaks to the man that he was beyond being a president. What is it like there?
This is a town, it is a small town. It was a small town 100 years ago when President Carter was born here. It's a small town still today, but it is one because of President Carter that has grown somewhat, restfully sometimes, somewhat restlessly sometimes, used to the gaze of history. And you talk to people who live in Plains, you talk to people who are just visiting, and you get a sense that they are feeling that the eyes of history are on this small town in the south of Georgia once again. We're live in Plains. Zach Merchant, 11 Alive News.